Ashley Benefield, a former model and ballerina, finding herself at the center of a high-profile trial after being accused of shooting and killing her husband, Douglas Benefield. Claiming self-defense, Ashley's case sheds light on the complexities of domestic violence and the legal challenges that arise when trying to prove justifiable force. All this weekend on the Hidden Killers podcast, we're examining the case of Ashley Benefield, examining the events leading up to that fateful day in their Lakewood Ranch, Florida home, and the allegations of abuse Ashley made against Douglas. We're taking you to the courtroom for raw audio from the Stand Your Ground hearing of Ashley Benefield all weekend here on the Hidden Killers podcast.
Okay. Proponent, you want to
here's what
impeach the detective with the highlighted portions of what I'm holding in my hands.
Yeah, let me walk the court through it, if I may. If the court looks at the proposed warrant of November 2nd at 2:06 in the afternoon,
yes,
the court will see in the highlighted portion on the second page that the detective says the day before the shooting, Barbara Russell, Doug Benefield scraped Ashley Benefield with a box. Then if the court looks at the second proposed warrant, which is approximately an hour and a half later on 11/2/20 at 3:37 p.m., instead of Barbara Russell, her name is now removed, and she's no longer an identifiable witness. Now it says the day before a witness, and it says Doug Benefield scraped Ashley Benefield with a box. Then if the court looks at the actual warrant that is submitted on 11/4/20, it says, Judge White, the day before the shooting, a witness, no longer Barbara Russell, explained that Ashley Benefield was inadvertently scratched when someone, no longer Douglas Benefield, but someone walked by her carrying a box. This witness before the court, Your Honor, sought a waiver so that he could speak with Dr. Russell. He got the waiver and he spoke with Dr. Russell. And Dr. Russell told him, and he admitted in his deposition to me, that she told him that Douglas Benefield was increasingly rough and would body check Ashley Benefield with a box, that he would slam it against her, and that it happened on the day of the shooting. And what is in those affidavits, both the actual and the proposed, is not that at all. When a detective comes to the court with a proposed warrant, it's not unusual that the court might ask some questions. And in this instance, if the court saw in the affidavit that it was Douglas Benefield who slammed Ashley Benefield with a cardboard box, the court might ask, being astute and street smart, a question such as, what was the relationship between these two? Are they siblings or are they husband and wife? And when told they are husband and wife, Your Honor might say, well, is there a history of domestic violence here? And if the answer to that was yes, then the court might say, could this be a self-defense situation? The point being that the detective might have left without that warrant being signed. I think this is clearly in contradiction to what he's testified to about a fair and objective investigation that went on for several weeks before he submits this actual warrant. So I propose to ask him about his actual warrant and then go back and go over the two proposed warrants to show what he left out and ask him why he left it out, and if he did not think that relevant to a judge that he was submitting the statement under oath to.
to prove or disprove what material fact? How is this material?
That this was anything but a fair investigation and a diligent investigation, in direct contradiction to what he has told us here today. And just so the court knows, this is not my only point. I have coming behind it even stronger.
All right, final thoughts?
Judge, to be perfectly honest, I have no idea what we're talking about. The witness was not asked anything that was inconsistent with anything he said before. If the defense wants to try to disprove that it was a thorough and accurate investigation, then the defense can put on evidence in their own case. I don't think bringing in extrinsic evidence, I don't think the evidence is appropriate evidence to use for that purpose anyway. But even if it were allowed in, I don't know that you could do this extrinsic evidence at this point to impeach him for, I said I did a thorough job, but no, you didn't. I'm just a little confused by that. So I would object to any of this coming in at this moment. I'm sorry, I just don't know what rule of evidence we're proceeding under.
Goes directly to bias of this witness who testified on direct. I didn't ask the question. The prosecutor asked the question, why did it take so long for you to get this warrant? Because we wanted to do a fair and objective investigation. That was what he testified to. And I am going to show with his own statements that that was not the case. It surely goes directly to this witness's bias and motive. And I have additional very strong evidence, Your Honor, to support that as well.
All right, well, whenever I start doing an analysis of these kind of arguments, what I want to hear is, well, what are you trying to do? Because that informs me to which folder to go to open up to see what's the predicate that needs to be laid, and then what's the procedure for doing something. I don't see this as impeachment by prior inconsistent statement. Because I don't think, yes, he said I did a thorough job, but I don't think that is
fair
necessarily then opens the door to, well, why did you put a comma here and not here? And I'm being a bit melodramatic on that point, but because as I look at some of the highlights on the papers you've handed up, I mean, it's really a simple matter of just reordering some of the words. Now, on the issue of the Dr. Russell, I see where in the 2:06 p.m. email, Dr. Russell is mentioned.
Correct.
In the 3:37 email, Dr. Russell's name is now a witness.
Correct.
And I'm trying to look amongst all the talking at the actual arrest warrant that was submitted. It looks like it was attested to November 4th of 2020.
Yes.
I'm not seeing the incident with the...
I can show the court. I have it marked. Yeah.
Yes.
I think, Judge, what distinguishes it from something that's inadvertent clearly is not only is Douglas Benefield now removed from the actual warrant as being the one who scraped Ashley Benefield with the box, but now there is the statement that that whoever this person was inadvertently scratched her with the box. And that is in direct contradiction to what this witness was told prior to him filing that arrest warrant. He asked for a waiver, which was given to him so he could interview several psychologists. He went and interviewed Dr. Russell. He acknowledged in deposition to me that Dr. Russell told him it was Doug Benefield and that he was becoming increasingly objective on that date by slamming a cardboard box into Ashley Benefield as he passed her in the hallway. And it was on the day of the incident, not the day before.
Right. But that testimony itself, you're just introducing that's what he was told, not for the truth of that's what happened.
Correct.
Okay, because that would be how many layers of hearsay? 3 or 4?
No. Look, I'm trying to show what he knew. Because he's the one who filed the affidavit, Your Honor.
Yeah, so I'll allow it for the very limited purposes of the fact that if you think that this shows that, and you're going to link this up, that he didn't do a thorough investigation, okay, we'll see.
I will link it up.
But,
Your Honor.
I mean,
I'll link it up.
yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I write an order, there might be 4 versions of it as I go through.
Well, Judge, at the risk of embarrassing the court, as far as Your Honor's authorship of orders, I have never seen an order like the order that the court wrote for the motion to compel.
Well, that could be taken 2 ways, couldn't it?
I've never seen a better order, Your Honor, or more thorough.
Enough of the platitudes. All right.
I would just like to object to him using emails between he and I discussing probable cause as some form of I don't understand.
Ms. O'Donnell, I'm not quite sure yet either.
Okay.
But we spent a lot of time on this.
Yes.
I want to keep plowing through. I think I'll be able to figure it out when we get to the end of this. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to figure it out and where this fits in. Okay. And I will put it in its proper place and give it its proper weight. All right.
Thank you, Judge. And just for the record, I have no intention of involving Miss O'Donnell in this. It's
Yeah, because if you call her as a witness, we got a problem.
It's going to be limited strictly to the.
All right. You can, but that's a monkey wrench.
We're not going down that.
All right.
She's been very professional.
Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, sir. He was standing at the door waiting on me. Oops.
Jack?
Yeah, we'll allow it. I tell you what, though, let's not plow this earth too many times. Let's plow it, make your points,
And move on.
get in and get out.
And I think you'll find I
All
will
right.
do
Thank
exactly
you.
that.
All right, sir, go ahead and take your seat. You're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
As you're approaching your seat, did anybody talk with you about your testimony or discuss anything with you?
No, sir.
All right, sir, have a seat. For your purposes, from where you left off, I have overruled the state's objection. Mr. Taylor has some questions for you.
Sure.
All right, Detective Warren, I'm going to put your actual warrant up on the screen, the affidavit. You recognize it, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you able to see it?
It's a little blurry.
Okay.
Oh, Carol.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Let me give you this actual copy.
Okay.
So that'll assist you. Now, this was the affidavit that you took to the judge, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I've highlighted on that affidavit in that particular paragraph that you see, and I have a couple of things boxed in red, correct?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you about them. Does it say that upon further investigation, hold on a second. All right. Does it say, Detective, in the third sentence of the top paragraph, upon further investigation, a witness explained that Ashley had obtained the scratch on her right side the day before the shooting when she was inadvertently scratched when someone walked by her carrying a box?
So in the fourth sentence, I do see that it says that, yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to pass to you a document and ask you if you recognize it.
It appears to be an email from myself.
Don't tell me what it is. I'm just going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Does that document contain a proposed affidavit that was written by you?
There is an attachment to it. I mean, I can't say indefinitely that's the same one that was sent with it, but there is an attachment to it.
All right. Now, that document was sent on November 2nd, 2020 at 2:06 p.m. in the afternoon, correct?
According to the email you've provided me with, yes, sir.
All right. And if you would turn to the proposed affidavit that's attached to that document that I just handed you.
Okay.
Not the actual warrant.
Yeah, correct.
The email of...
The alleged attachment, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So if you would tell me, instead of it saying now, a witness explained, is in that proposed affidavit, does it say Barbara Russell?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. So on the second page, we conduct an interview with Barbara Russell.
Okay. Now, Barbara Russell, her name has been removed from the actual affidavit, has it not?
Yes.
All right. Does it also then say that Douglas Benefield scraped Ashley Benefield with a box?
It does.
Okay. And going back to your actual warrant, does it say Douglas Benefield in your actual warrant?
No, it says someone.
Someone. Okay.
Which could mean Douglas Benefield.
All right. And does it also say in your actual warrant that that someone who scratched Ashley Benefield with a box did so inadvertently?
While walking by, yes.
Now, do you remember, as part of your investigation, you obtained a waiver for you to be able to go speak with Dr. Russell?
That's correct.
And that included also a waiver for Dr. Quintal?
Yes.
All right. Is it not a fact that you admitted to me that in your conversation with Dr. Russell, before you filed this actual affidavit to your warrant, that she told you that Douglas Benefield had become increasingly rough and would body check Ashley Benefield with a box?
I think those were your words.
And did you not agree to them?
I'd have to go back and listen to the interview. I apologize, sir.
Did you prepare to come here today to testify?
I did, sir.
You chose not to listen to it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you recall being asked the following question on page 23, line 14? This is your deposition of May 16th, correct?
I don't know. I don't have a copy of it in front of me, sir.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
May 16th of 23. Okay.
All right. Do you recall being asked the following question? All right. And does it say on there, starting on line 11, so she said, this is Dr. Russell, so she said he had become increasingly rough, like he'd pick up a box to move it, pass her in the hallway, body check her. Your answer, that's what it says. Do you want to see it?
No.
All right. Then the next question, all right, do you recall her making that statement to you? Your answer, vaguely. You recall that?
Yeah, but I still vaguely remember that.
Can I just ask for verification of what you were referring to the first question? The first question was, you said this excerpt says, what was the excerpt that he was looking at in the text?
That Dr. Russell had, may I respond?
Yeah, you're going to have to because I don't know what we're talking about either.
The excerpt was that Dr. Russell had told the witness that Douglas Benefield had intentionally slammed the cardboard box.
Excerpt from what? Excerpted from what?
From Dr. Russell's statement that this witness took. I was questioning him about the statement that he took from Dr. Russell. And I asked him, is it not a fact that this is what Dr. Russell told you? And that was the answer that he gave.
And this is where I was concerned. We're now impeaching with a prior inconsistent statement, conceivably, statements that they were made in one version but not the other version and left out of another version or changed in another version. Yeah. And you're impeaching with a statement from an out-of-court statement from this witness received from a doctor who I haven't heard from that was made to her, presumably by the defendant.
No.
So we're just getting so far afield. And this is where I was saying, make your point and get out, because I've tried to give you that wide berth, but
I'm on my way out, Judge.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Judge, I get the point you're trying to make.
Yep. Okay.
Your point is, this witness has made multiple prior different statements, spoke with the state, changed it again, left out some what you believe to be material details. I get it.
Okay.
The message is clearly received if that's the point you're trying to make.
Thank you.
I just believe there's going to be numerous things like we're dealing with right now with this cross-examination.
Let's see how I do, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right. When you bring an arrest warrant to a judge, are you ever asked questions before it's signed?
Excuse me, what kind of questions are you referring to and by whom?
Have you ever been asked questions by a judge about a warrant that you have brought for signature?
Sir, I've submitted numerous warrants. Most of the time we don't talk to the judge.
You've never been questioned by a judge?
Most of the time we don't. Most of the time it's submitted via e-warrants, which is an electronic system.
And it's never happened to you, is your testimony?
Oh, I'm not going to say I've never talked to a judge. I just don't recall an incident off the top of my head.
All right. Let's talk about the wounds to Douglas Benefield and your perception of how they occurred. You stated, did you not, in your affidavit, that based upon the entrance wounds to Douglas Benefield, it does not appear that he was facing Ashley Benefield when she began shooting?
Objection is this impeachment.
Sustained.
Did you draw any conclusion as to whether or not Douglas Benefield was facing Ashley Benefield when he was shot?
Do you want me to read the warrant?
No.
No, so this is just testimony.
Just answer the question.
So yes, based on my observations and the work of the team that was assigned to work this case, it appeared that he was not facing her at that time.
Okay. And you know that the medical examiner said that he was?
I don't know what the medical examiner said, sir. I wasn't in here.
Oh, you've never seen the medical examiner's
Sustained.
report?
I have seen the medical examiner's report.
No, I sustained it.
Sorry.
It's improper impeachment to impeach this witness with the statement of an out-of-court statement of another witness.
Did you contact the medical examiner's office before you secured and drafted the final version of this warrant?
No. I did not. A detective would have been present at the autopsy, though.
do you dispute now, as you sit here today, that Mr. Benefield was facing Ashley Benefield when he was shot?
Oh,
Objection, relevance of his opinion.
Well, I think he's made the one conclusion. I think he could be asked, you have the same conclusion today, so overruled.
Thank you.
I don't dispute anything the doctor said. He's the ultimate person that would give you that answer.
All right. Now, you also concluded that the wound to the right leg was from the outside of the leg to the inside. Is that correct?
Objection, relevance of his opinion.
Again, I don't recall ever hearing him testify to that fact, so I don't know where that's coming from. I have not heard this from his mouth.
Did you reach a conclusion as to the direction of the gunshot to the deceased's right leg?
Objection, relevance of his interpretation of the direction of that wound. The state is the one that filed the charge, not the detective. So
I appreciate it. Overruled. If you can answer.
Sure.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Did you reach a conclusion, Detective Warren, as to the gunshot wound to the deceased's right leg?
Okay.
Okay, yes, you reached.
As to the direction?
Yes.
Well, like I said, I would defer to the doctor, to be honest with you. I think he has the best opinion on that.
I understand and I appreciate that, but I'm interested in what your conclusion was.
So based on my observations, I wasn't there when he was there, and I never saw him in person, would be that the right side of his body was facing Mrs. Benefield.
That's not the question I asked you, Detective. Did you not understand it?
Apparently not. Can you repeat it, sir?
So my question to you is, did you reach a conclusion as to the gunshot wound to Mr. Benefield's right leg?
Based on what I saw and everything at the scene, I believe that his right side was facing her, so that would have been what was struck first.
Did you state that the entry to the leg wound was on the outside of the knee and the exit was on the inside?
I could refer back to the warrant if you'd like, sir.
Please. If that helps refresh your recollection.
Sustained. Well, if he's refreshing recollection, that's a different issue.
Yes.
But
Refer to your warrant, Detective, see if that refreshes your recollection.
There is more to come in the Ashley Benefield Stand Your Ground hearing. We're bringing it to you all weekend long here on the Hidden Killers podcast. Press subscribe so you don't miss a minute of courtroom coverage. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.